Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to tonight's performance of PATRIA. This play is the result of the effort put forth by our entire class, No Business Like Show Business. Over the course of the semester, we have been working in 4 teams: public relations, set design, directing, and dramaturgy. Through collaboration with the guidance of Professors Stern and Falvey, we've been able to research, cast, organize, and produce everything you're about to see. We hope you enjoy the result of our hard work. Before we can begin, though, the class has some people to thank. We would like to thank Professor Carter for allowing us to bring his work to life. Without his participation this semester, this would not have been possible. We also would like to thank Professor Bernier for all his support that he has shown to our class this semester. A huge thank you to Professor Pinizotto and his staff for funding and supporting our efforts, sorry. Also to Ray Farner, our College of the Fenway liaison. We also need to thank Tristan Carey for supporting all of our technical support, or for supplying all of our technical support and setup. We would also like to thank Physical Plant for all of their assistance, as well as Public Safety. Last but certainly not least, we would also like to thank Aaron Kingston and Lisa Mendez for working with us in finding space to put this performance. Thank you. We hope you enjoy the play.
I remember December 7th, 1941 so well. We were all in shock, all Americans. On the radio they talked about waves of planes, bombs dropping, people dying, people running. I was American. On the newspapers they wrote about the Yellow Peril and accused us of seeing Japan as the homeland. Japan, I had never seen the place. Now, because of Order 9066, we all had to move, to leave our homes, the places we were born. We were told to leave everything behind, everything that defined us, that reminded us of home, and relocate. My family was sent to Amachi. I remember that day well.
Welcome to Amachi, Colorado, folks. Sorry it isn't much, but it's all the same in the other barracks. Lots of scrap wood around. Some people have been making their own furniture. Well, you'll be sharing this barrack. That's number 152 with 4 other families. The treen's down the hall. Afraid it's on the other end of the building. It's communal, so not much privacy. Don't worry, there's 2. One for men and one for women. Anyway, mess is served at 5. You gotta stand in line. First come, first serve. And you gotta work in the kitchens on a rotation basis. Food's not so good, but you'll get used to it. Lights out at 10, and one last thing. Those light towers you see outside every 100 yards or so, there's soldiers up there with machine guns. You can't leave the camp without written authorization. Some of the other camps, people have been shot because they got too close to the barbed wire. Not here at Amachi, though. Not yet, anyway. So, you take care, you hear? Well, good night, folks.
Someplace to have a honeymoon.
I should be with my parents now. They'll need me.
Mary, you're my wife. We need each other now. Your parents have your sisters to care for them at Tulare.
But I should be near them. They're still my parents. I know they'll need me.
Mary, they'll be fine. At least they're still in California, and now that this godforsaken place must be 105 degrees in the shade.
Ben, their family has been broken up, and they've been thrown into another hellhole just like this one. The Anos are proud to be Americans. And now this? You really think Tulare will be any better than here?
This is not good, my sons. These conditions, barely livable. What have we done to deserve this?
What have we done? What we did was work hard, obey the laws, study hard in school, and try to be the best Americans we can be. And for that, we deserve this.
Shh. The woman. I don't understand. I am Issei. I cannot be a citizen. But I was as good an American as any. Now we have lost everything. Our grocery stores, our home. And for what? Packed up like cattle with only what we could carry. Into this place? For how long? Forever?
Father, they say the government is taking these steps to just make the country safer. I mean, listen, even the newspaper said that some of the Japanese pilots that were shot down, they were wearing Honolulu high school rings.
That's bullshit, Ben. How can you be so naive? They use that propaganda to scare people and so they can put us here.
Fred, you know as well as I do that some of the Issei keep talking about how great Nippon was and how wonderful it was there, and how they wish they'd never left. Why wouldn't the government want to check them out? I mean, it only makes sense. We might be of Japanese ancestry, but the president has to think of the country as a whole. Make it safe for all of us. Don't worry. Soon they'll sort out the traitors and the rest of us will be free.
Ben, you're only 16. You're too young to understand. Do they have internment camps for German Americans? For Italian Americans? No. Just for us. Because we're Asian. Because we look different. Look at it, Ben. Why can't our mother and father own property? They even had to put their house in my name. Do the German Americans have to do that? Try to explain that away.
Well, Fred, I know they've suffered, but so did the Irish in Boston when they first came. Remember what they showed us in school? No Irishmen, no dogs or Irishmen need apply. And how about the black people down south? Separate washrooms. So, listen, we might be in a very bad place now, but America is still the best place. You'll see, the people will realize that we're not spies or traitors, and you and Mary will be back at USC picking up your degrees before you know it. Hey, Mary might even become a doctor. Just give it some time. The president will realize this is a mistake.
President Roosevelt called these places concentration camps.
Father, that was bad phrasing. It's war, it's too soon. Just give it some time. He'll see we're loyal Americans, and then they'll let us out.
And until then? What about your brother and Mary? What about their lives? How will they find any privacy here?
No, so we should go to Japan when the war ends, my husband. You often said you were happy there.
I hardly remember it now. I was so young when I left. To be honest, I remember going to bed many nights hungry as a child. And I am afraid. Depending on who wins this war, it could be really bad for us. The Americans, they would call us traitors, and if we left, they said that we were Japanese all the time. There's no good choice for us now.
Father, don't worry about that. The good old US of A is gonna smash him.
Why are you defending America when they put you in jail?
Fred, it's my country. I love America.
You love a country that imprisons its own people. I almost wish Father had never emigrated here. I don't think I'll ever be accepted here. There is so much racism. Always was, always will be.
But our life here has not been that bad. California is a paradise.
A paradise for the white man, Mother, not the Asian.
I do. Your mother is right, Fred. America is still the best place for us. Soon, you know America will never be defeated in the war. Soon, a settlement will be reached. Soon, we'll be back at school, at our studies.
Even if you're right, Mary, what about our parents? We're young, and we'll have our whole lives to make up for this disgrace. But what about them? Starting over just when you're supposed to be enjoying the fruits of your labors? It's an injustice no man should have to endure.
My son, I know you study history in your college, so know this to be true. When and where you're born is just a matter of fate. One can be very unlucky or not. Millions of innocent throughout the ages have been murdered for the most hideous reasons. Power, lust, religion, the madness of rulers. and now we suffer. But our lives here have been blessed. We must weigh the two. And for now, Mary is right. We must make the best of our circumstances. Now, let us go eat. I am hungry, and I do not want to be the last in line. Perhaps we will meet some old friends there.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, Mary? It's 3 months today. Did the baby move? Are you comfortable?
I'm fine. I believe I'm finally over my morning sickness.
Your mother was sick for the first 5 months she carried you, Fred.
No wonder she loves Ben best. Bundle up. It will be cold walking to the doctor's office.
We will. We will bring you the news.
By the way, how's your brother?
He's with his friend Suchi. They're getting the war news.
I hear the Navy has the Imperial forces on the defensive. This is bad for Nippon.
Well, look at it this way, Father. The sooner Japan is defeated, the sooner we'll be out of this hole. Do you still have mixed feelings, Father?
It is so hard, my son, to be a good citizen of this country and still watch your ancestors ravaged by war. It is more of a compliment for me and the other Issei. We remember the old country. We remember how we lost our soil, her culture, and her heroes. You, Issei, you only know America. It is a great country, I know, but I cannot escape my memories of the country I left behind.
And here's number 2 son now. So how's the land of some of the free during the war? Sorry, Ben. What's the news?
Well, the Russians just stopped the Germans at a place called Stalingrad, and they're trying to push them down. And then, in the Pacific, we've just invaded an island called Tarawa. Yeah, that one. The reports say that it was very bloody, but we just keep island hopping toward Japan. And one more thing. Suchi and I have joined the army. And before you say anything, Fred, listen, it's different for you than for me. I'm only American. Japan has no meaning for me anymore. This is my country. This is where I was born. I grew up. I became who I am here. Japan is not on my mind anymore. And, I know they made a mistake with us, but in the big things, the things that count, this is a good country. And I'm proud to be American.
Proud? Your so-called country put you in this prison just because of who your ancestors were. They didn't see you, care about you. They only saw Japanese. We have no country.
That's a lie, Fred. I have a country, and I'm going to serve her. I'm a patriot.
You don't know the meaning of that word.
Well, I know the opposite of the word, and you're it. You only care about yourself, don't you? The world is fighting a battle between good and evil. And listen, I know where I stand, but where do you?
I was put into this position, Ben. I didn't choose it. Your wonderful America turned its back on me, told me I was an interloper, that I wasn't as good as other Americans. I would have been proud to stand for those so-called ideals. But those ideals didn't apply to me, did they?
Fred, we're being given a chance to prove ourselves now. Prove that we're loyal Americans. We're only Americans. We can be patriots too.
Can't you see that's the height of hypocrisy? Ben Takagi, we're putting you in a concentration camp, but now we're going to let you die for us. Well, if you want to die for the people who put you in this hellhole, people who still don't trust you, be my guest. But let me guess, Ben, they won't send you to the Pacific, will they?
Well, they say the Germans are the bigger threat. That's where they need us.
Right, the Germans are the bigger threat, but the Japanese Americans are the one they intern in camps. They still don't trust you, Ben. And what about mother and father? Did you even do them the courtesy of discussing this with them?
They would have tried to change Listen, I've made up my mind. I'm going.
Ben, you could be killed.
I know, Fred. I know that. But the enemy that we fight on both fronts has to be defeated, somehow. Listen, I may be young, okay? But I know history too. I know that young men go to war and, well, young men die fighting, okay? And I'll just take my chances.
Please, Ben, this isn't your war. It is white America's war. They didn't want us in this country. They've done everything in their power to drive us away. Are you really willing to die for them?
Well, not all of us. They didn't say anything to the Japanese on the East Coast, for example. Listen, even you have to admit that some of the Issei still talk about how, they're still tied to Nippon. And they still think that Hirohito's descended from the gods. Listen, if they believe that, they'd be capable of anything. Can't you understand how that all makes us look?
But that's not all of us, Ben. The government could have kept an eye on those few, but they condemned us all. They didn't see you or me. They just saw the Japanese us. Ben, it's unforgivable.
I get it, Fred. I get it. You played by the rules, you were a model citizen, and they took it all away. You have every right to be bitter. But listen, I promise. Look at me. I promise that they'll make it up to you.
Will they let you graduate from high school?
They promised. Father, do I have your blessing?
I know your heart is true, my son. You have no doubts, but I believe I will see you no more.
So,
I'll be proud of you no matter what path you choose, and you have my blessing.
Hello, little Ben. Mother, Father, I've heard some news. There's a chance we'll be getting out of this place. The war has been going on so well that now, after only 2.5 years, the white politicians have decided we aren't a threat anymore. The Germans are falling back close to the Rhine, and in the Pacific, we're closing in on the home islands. What was your island, Father?
Honshu. But I can hardly remember it now. I vaguely remember the gardens with pink flowers. It's probably been bombed by now. By the way, have you heard the news from Ben?
I told you, Father, he's either in northern Italy or southern France. I talked to Suchi's father, and he says Ben says hello and says he is fine.
We can only hope. Fred, I know you try to keep the bad news from me, but I have my sources too. I know there have been many casualties.
Why should I worry you? Besides, Ben is blessed. He's always been the lucky one.
If it is true, if we really will be leaving here soon, shouldn't we start to plan for the future?
Our future? I think we should consider Canada. What do you think?
Canada? But it's so cold there. It'll be like winter here, but 10 months out of the year.
Don't tell me you want to stay here after all that's happened.
Fred, believe me, I understand your sentiments. But this is still the best country for us. If we leave, we'll have nothing.
So it comes down to money. What about our principles?
We can't eat principles, Fred. We have 3 mouths to feed, and soon 4.
What are you saying? Are you pregnant again?
Yes, Fred. I'm going to have a baby, and this is our future.
I'm so happy.
Who is it, my son?
Mr. and Mrs. Takagi, it's with my and the government's deepest sympathy that I have to inform you that your son Benjamin was killed in action on October 27th. I know that this will provide no consolation, but he died as a hero. I don't know all the details, but this is what I do know. Your son's battalion, the Go for Broke Battalion, was called upon the rescue, a unit that was surrounded by the German for 6 days in the Vosges Mountains in southern France. These troops had no food, no water for at least 3 days. They were a National Guard outfit from Texas. Command called them the Lost Battalion. Ben's unit went into and fought like hell. The Germans put up a resistance, but Ben's battalion broke through it all and saved over 200 men. I am sorry to report that the Go for Broke Battalion suffered over 800 casualties. They were all heroes, Mr. and Mrs. Takagi, true heroes. Here, have your son's effects.
Mr. and Mrs. Takagi, Ben will be awarded a Silver Star posthumously. We would like to hold our ceremonies here at Amachi with your permission. Mr. and Mrs. Takagi, I know that your time here has been difficult, but I want to personally state that you have the respect and gratitude of a nation that I know will come to regret, if it hasn't already. Its treatment of a great and a noble people who, despite their circumstances, sent their son to defend this country.
If there is anything I can do. For the record, Mr. and Mrs. Takagi, Ben will be buried in an American cemetery in France. The French have agreed that an American cemetery in France is as an American soil. Mr. and Mrs. Takagi, Ben is buried on an American soil. We will leave you know, but we will be in touch. I know it may not mean much now, but a grateful country says thank you. Oh, right now in Texas, there are over 200 families on their knees, thanking God for the Japanese Americans unit. I don't know of other one who could have saved their sons. Please forgive us.
What is this? It's from Ben. It's addressed the day before he left. To America.
You are my country. I love and respect you in spite of the mistakes you have made. Yes, you have made mistakes. All I ask is that you don't make the same mistake twice. That would be inexcusable even in the eyes of one who loved you so. I hope your faith in me and in your people has grown since the last time I saw you. Now, from where I watch, I see signs of hope. My mother and father are still together. I see hopes of life in my sister-in-law and the new life she carries. And in the eyes of my brother, I see the light of life shining for the first time in all those years. And I know that my faith in you has not been in vain.
Mary, how do you feel about a future in Texas?